So welcome all of you to the third day of our course. Yesterday we read about the science of soul. While discussing about the science of soul, we understood that how there is something called soul which is beyond this body and which is present in the body, and at the same time it is making all the bodily functions possible. Now these days, what to speak of not knowing about the soul, they don't even accept the existence of the soul. That is the reason yesterday we discussed about the 5 kinds of proof of the existence of soul. The first was common sense. Like somebody dies, he says it's passed away. So such and such a person passed away, it means that he is not here, is somewhere else. Like a boy passes out of the college, that means he's somewhere else, he's not in the college. So he passed away means he passed out of this body and is existing still somewhere. And the second proof we understood how when I say it is my hand, it refers to that I am not this hand, there is a distinct difference between me and my hand. When I say this is my pen, that means there is a distinct difference between me and my pen, and I am not this pen. So when I say this is my body, it refers to what? There is a distinct difference between me and my body, and I am not this body. If I am not this body, who am I? I am the soul. So we have the third proof of existence, that is the soul, that is consciousness. We are able to feel the pleasure, pain, etc. We have emotions, it is because we are conscious. Whereas a football or a chair or the door or a wall, it doesn't have consciousness. That is why even if you go and stand in front of the wall and scold the wall, the wall doesn't feel bad. Why? Because you have consciousness that it doesn't have. And a consciousness is a symptom of the soul. The soul is there in the region of the heart and is emitting a light called consciousness, which is pervading the entire body through the blood. So yesterday we discussed about consciousness, the proof of the existence of soul. And the fourth proof we discussed was near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. We discussed about how some people, they have gone out of the body and have experienced and then came back. So they have seen, they have got perception of certain things even after going out of the body. So what went out of the body? That is called soul. And ultimately we discussed about the fifth proof, that is past life memories. Whether somebody consciously remembers it or during the time of dreams they remember, ultimately it shows that there is some remembrance from the previous life. If there was a previous life, what is the thing which connects the previous life to this life? It is the soul. What got transferred is the soul. So yesterday we discussed about the 5 kinds of the proof of existence of soul and learned that I am living in the body. I am not this body. As much as I am living in the house, there is a distinct difference between me and my house. I am owner of the house, the living in the house. And I am in the car, I am a driver of the car, I am not the car. So this body, whether it is a female body or a male body, the soul has nothing to do with this thing. The soul at present is living in a female body, that's all. But when you look in the mirror, you say, I am a woman. No, you are not a woman. You are at present living in a woman's body. It's like that. If somebody says, I am a child, no, he is not a child. We say he is a child, he also says I am a child. He is not a child. It is actually he is a soul living at present in a child's body. And the body grows up, the same soul is still there. That shows there is change happens for the body, not for the soul. Now what is death? There is also a change of body, that's all. As the body goes on continuously changing, the soul remains the same. The death is also a change. And yesterday we understood that how at the time of birth, and we all celebrate our birthday. And when we celebrate a birthday, it is actually not happy birthday to you, but it is actually happy birthday to your body. Because at the time of birth, it is not you who are born, it is the body which is born. So we learned all these things yesterday and also learned that how we can compare the entire setup of our body or the entire existence to a computer system. The software and the hardware. The hardware of the body, the hardware of the computer being compared to the gross body, which constitutes earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the subtle body can be compared to the software, which constitutes the mind, intelligence and false ego. And we compared the plug point to the living entity, the soul, and the consciousness to the electricity passing through the computer. And ultimately there is a powerhouse from where all the electricity comes from, that is the super soul. So this shows that how there is a distinction between the brain and mind, mind and the soul and the super soul. So there is a gross confusion existing among modern doctors and modern scientists. They don't even accept the existence of mind, what to speak of existence of soul. They have no idea of the subtle body also. Though there is a department of psychology, but even a psychiatrist, they also think that the mind is nothing but electromagnetic wave functions in the brain. They don't accept something called subtle body, sukshma sharira. Then what to speak of soul? They think the brain is the mind and the mind is the brain. So there is a confusion there, and some people are confused between the mind and the soul. They are the modern Western philosopher and the Buddhist. They don't have any clear idea of what is soul, and soul distinct from the mind. Mind is actually material, though subtle. And beyond the soul, there is super soul. There are some Vedic philosophers called Mayavadis. They get confused about the soul and the super soul. Though soul and super soul, they are qualitatively one, they are quantitatively different. Because the soul is Anu and the super soul is Vibhu. It is huge. It's a source of all the souls. And we learned about all these things and understood about what happens at the time of death. At the time of death, it is the gross body is lying there, and the subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence and false ego, it engages the soul and takes the soul from one gross body to another gross body. So we learned it yesterday that how this soul transfers one body to another body at the time of death. That is why the same subtle body in the previous lifetimes, it is carried forward to this body. That is why we have this kind of memories and this kind of sanskars. We have two children, maybe born to the same parents. Maybe sometimes the two children, they are born to, they are twins. But still we find these two children, their behavior is different. Why? It is just because though they are born to the same parents, their sanskars were different. Their impressions were different. And because there are different impressions which have been brought forward from the previous life, they act in a different way, they behave in a different way. So that is why it is very important what we see, what we hear, and what kind of knowledge we gain, what kind of impressions we are giving to our mind. Because it is carried forward to the next life, and that defines the behavior in the next life. And what to speak of next life, even in this life? Whatever kinds of input you give to the mind, depending on that our subtle body is designed, depending on the subtle body we behave in a particular way. So we learned about all these things yesterday and understood that how soul is eternal. It is neither having birth nor death. Neither it is not that the soul was born before and the soul is going to die in future. No. Najayate mrite va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavitavana ajo nityashashvatoyam purano anhanyate anyamane sharire. We learned about this, that how when the body dies, the soul doesn't die. The first quality, that is the nature of the soul is Sat, Sanatana, Chit. The soul is made up of consciousness. Sat is the quality of the soul, eternity, and Chit is the very substance, the soul substance is Chit Kana. The third is Ananda. Experience of the soul is Anandamaya. Now if we are all souls and Ananda is the nature, the bliss is the nature of the soul, why are we suffering then? It is because of lack of self-realization. Actually the only problem in our life is lack of self-realization. There is no other problem. We have a list of problems, the financial problems, the family problems, the social problems, and this problem and that problem. You make a whole list of it. Anybody maybe. You make a list of all the problems in your life, in your organization, wherever you are. You'll find that all the problems are actually insignificant. They are actually not real problems. The real problem is that it is me who doesn't have self-realization. It is me who doesn't have self-realization. So the moment you're self-realized, no problems exist. So when our attention goes to the minor and the petty, which are actually not real problems at all, then what happens? We forget the real problem of self-realization. And we again yesterday gave the example of that person who wanted to have Mercedes car, who purchased it after great years and years of hard struggle, saving every penny. He purchased the Mercedes. Then he was going, what happened? He met an accident. And when he met with an accident, he was really angry at the truck driver with whom he had an accident. In spite of the truck driver pleading him, let us go to the hospital, you need to go to the hospital. He says, no, I don't want to go to the hospital, I want to go to the police station. When repeated arguments happened, then the truck driver told, please look at your arm. And he could see the forearm was completely cut off. What happened? It has flown somewhere else and the blood was oozing out. And then in spite of this condition, what was he concerned about? He was concerned about the watch. He started scolding his truck driver. It is because of you I lost my watch. So he's concerned about his vehicle, car, he's concerned about the watch, but the real concern should be for him of the hand which is lost. In the same way, the real concern is, I am getting older and older, but there is no self-realization. I don't know Bhagavad Gita. How many verses? There are 700 verses only, but still I don't even few verses. And I have not practiced, I have not even tried to understand what these verses are. So lack of self-realization is the only problem in your life. And what is the solution? Self-realization is the only solution. That is why one has to take up the self-realization process. And there is only emergency in everybody's life. There is no emergency in anybody's life. All the so-called emergencies, urgent things, it is all just a mental concoction only. Even if you don't attend this, nothing is going to happen to you, neither is going to, no difference, there is no difference going to happen to the world. But if self-realization is not there, there will be a lot of difference for you because you will be existing in the material world again and again. And not only that, your existence itself without self-realization will give misery to others. By nature's law, a person without self-realization is not only unhappy, he is also the cause of others' unhappiness. Because what you can give to the world is what you have. If you yourself are unhappy, what you can give? You can only give unhappiness to others. It is only the self-realization which can give us happiness. And if you are happy, what you can give the world is happiness. So lack of self-realization is not only a problem for you, it is a problem for the entire world. So the emergency, the most urgent need for anybody is self-realization, to understand that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. And act in the platform spirit soul. And lastly, we discussed yesterday that how we are all searching for happiness. Ultimately, happiness is not anywhere else. It is on the platform of self-realization, the platform of the soul. No amount of matter can make us happy because we are not matter, we are soul. So only spiritual things can make us happy. The pursuit for matter is only going to make us more and more miserable. That is why it is very important for all of us to take up the process of self-realization very seriously. And some people have this idea that, okay, at the time of death my soul leaves the body. Let it go, I want to be here only. It is not that at the time of death your soul goes. At the time of death it is me, it is I, the soul, who leaves this body. So what all you have done in your life, it all becomes zero at the time of death. And you have to open a new account in the next life. That is why whatever struggle we have to undergo in this life, it should be meant only for one purpose. Will this struggle be helpful in my next life? Will this be helpful after my death? That should be the thinking. Anyhow, we discussed about the soul, and today is the subject matter about God, Ishvara. Actually, God, the discussion about God is the only discussion which is happening right from the dawn of creation. Wherever you go, whichever community you go around the world, they will be talking about God. And basically the talk is whether God exists or not. Actually, the talk is not even God exists or not. The talk is mostly centered around, do you believe in God or not? There are some people who say, I believe in God, and some people say, I don't believe in God. But based on the concept of belief in God, the whole world, the whole society is divided into two parts. One of those who say we believe in God, another who say we don't believe in God. Of course, these days there is a third section of the society who says, whether you believe or don't believe, we don't bother about it. Anyhow, whether somebody bothers about it or not, when the time comes, everybody bothers. Especially I come from Bombay. In Bombay there is a suburb called Mir Road. We have a temple there. We're building a nice temple there. Just we share the same compound with the school. 2,000 children study in the school. It's the Almir school. Now you find that hardly few children come. Hardly 4 or 5 children come to a temple to have darshan. 2,000 children, every day they come. Parents come and drop the children and go away. But they don't even take an effort to even just put one step inside the temple. Just 4 or 5 children come. The devotee children, they come. Now just see. But when time comes, all of a sudden you'll find hundreds of children are coming to the temple. Then you understand exams are near. All of a sudden, no. And when the children come to the temple, you should see their faces. For them, every brick in the temple becomes divine. And exams are over, I don't know what happens to all the devotion. But sometimes when they really come with that faces, you can see that they are really so much of having devotion and faith. Without Krishna, what's going to happen to me in my life? So that's the mode in which they come. I heard in Sri Lanka the study pressure is not much in the children, but in India it's like a 3rd standard child goes to a tuition classes for 4 hours. Spend 6 hours in the school, 4 hours in tuition class. This is how they're tortured like anything. Anyhow, so when the time comes, all of a sudden they say, God, oh God, oh Jesus, all these things comes. They think about. I still remember, I had one friend, we were really close friends. And every day from school we used to walk down to the house and we used to stay quite nearby. And on the way, whichever temple we see, people going to the temple, we used to criticize them. They're theistic. And we say, foolish people, sentimental people. Yes, what is this? Pouring milk onto the stone and throwing some bananas into fire. They're stupid things. What is this? They're crazy. Like that we used to criticize. It so happened that after our 12th standard, we had to go different places for study. He went to the western part of India, I went to the eastern part of India to study. And after many years, 4 or 5 years, we met on the road one day. I was going somewhere, he was going somewhere, we met. We were so happy to meet. And by the time I had taken up Krishna consciousness and I remembered my old days with a friend, we were so atheistic. Then I was thinking how to convince my friend that he should also take up Krishna consciousness and accept the existence of God, chant Hare Krishna mantra. Then I thought in the very first meeting it's not so good to talk about all these things. Then while the talk was continuing, then he told that no, I don't want to join any job, I'm opening my own small factory. Tomorrow is opening of my factory, please come. So next day I went. When I went to the opening of the factory, I saw the whole factory where the opening was going on, it was filled with smoke. And went inside, I saw that there were some Brahmins, they were doing some mantras and some fire sacrifices going on. And I saw my friend, he was wearing dhoti. And I thought, what happened to him? You know, some ISKCON devotees came to his life also or what? So I went near him and then called the head. What I told him in his ears, hey, you don't know we are atheistic people, we are not supposed to do all these things, just cut the ribbon and enter. Then he called me to a further corner and told in my ears, you see, all these things cost only 10,000 rupees. Actually, there is no God on it now. Actually, you know, I put 10 lakh rupees. If God exists, let him be happy in 10,000 rupees only. So when the situations come, all of a sudden God, no, if God exists, let him be happy now. Actually, God is not there. So our condition about God is like that of a cat on the wall. We don't know. Sometimes if you really observe a cat on the wall, it is like he's about to jump onto the left side. About to jump, it looks like this. Now he will do this. We're not able to make a decision about it. It is all because we think of belief. The very word belief is a very dubious term. Belief means what? I believe there's a cat behind the wall. There's a cat behind this wall. I believe. What does it mean? It may be there, may not be there, but I believe it is there. So when somebody says, I believe in God, he means to say that he may be there, may not be there, but I believe he is there. So what matters is not belief, what matters is faith. Because God's position is not dependent on your belief. Is not dependent, He is not waiting for your votes to become God. And the politicians, they are standing for elections. They are dependent on your words to become, when you vote for them, then they become the president and the prime minister. But God is not dependent on your words. Whether you give yes vote to Him or no vote to Him, it doesn't matter to Him. Whether you believe in His existence or don't believe in existence, it doesn't make any difference to God. To such an extent that this kind of misconception about God's existence and non-existence, so much confusion is existing, but still people think that we are very much clear about our idea about God. Those who say we believe in God, they also think we are very clear about God's existence and His nature. And there are some who say we don't believe in God, they also think they are very clear about God's existence, about their stand, about their philosophy. I'll tell you two instances regarding these two concepts. Actually, these two concepts about God exists or doesn't exist is so deeply rooted in the society. Based on these two concepts, there are two societies, registered societies. Especially in South India, it's very famous. One class of society, those who say God exists, they are known as Astika. And there is a samajam, Astika samajam, a society of theistic people. Asti means exist, those who say God exists. And parallelly, there is one more society, registered society, it got a president, it got a secretary and all. They are known as Nastika samajam. Nastika samajam and Nastika samajam. They are very active, especially in South India. Even in Bombay, they are very active. And now I'll tell what happened once. One day, one member of the Nastika Samaj came to our house. He is my father's close friend. He told my father and invited him to a program. He told the president of the Nastika Samaj of the Atheistic Society, the president of the Atheistic Society is coming for a satsang program. Even they also have a satsang program. The atheist people also have a satsang program. If you have a satsang program, please come. My father, okay, his friend is invited, let me go. So he went. So along with him, I also went. I was just in 7th or 8th standard at the time. So when I went, I saw there were 800 to 1,000 people in the hall. And the entire lecture went on. The whole basis of the lecture was that behind every evil in the society, there is a hand of religion. Behind every war, there is a hand of religion. Behind every problem in the society, everywhere, there is a hand of religion. Every violence, there is a hand of religion. And along with statistics, he has proved. And he gave an excellent lecture and told at the end that all the problem is because of religion, and religion is there because of God. So no God, no religion, no problem. Very, very systematically presented. And everybody was so happy and congratulated him. And my father also was taken by his friend to get him introduced to the president who just gave the lecture, president of the Nastika Samajam. Then by the time one more person came and told this person who gave the lecture, excellent lecture. Then my father told him, I was also standing there, he told this president of the Nastika Samajam, what excellent class you gave. Actually, I am a member of Astika Samajam. I am a member of a theistic society. After hearing class, I want to change my membership now. Now I have to join your society. And though he was a theistic person, but he is a very cultured person. Generally, cultured people are humble. They are very, very humble. So with great humility in our own language, so he started speaking. Generally, out of great humility, they say these words in general. They say, people come and tell me that I have done this thing, I have spoken so nice. Actually, nothing is in our hands. Everything is in the hands of God only. Just now I spoke for 1 minute, God doesn't exist. And this is what is happening in the Nastika Samaj. Let us see what happens in the Astik Samaj. Astik Samajam, there is a big function which they do on the day of Nakka Sankranti. They do a lot of Annadan, Yajna and all these things. And all those who are involved, they are so-called elite people in the society, the elite people in the town. They all get together and put up this whole festival. Then by 2 o'clock, 2:30, they would have their dinner, they would have their lunch, and then they are talking. They are different groups in talking amongst each other. And it's all happening in the temple. It is happening in the Balaji temple, Venkateshwara temple. So there's a group of people who are talking about politics. There's a group of people who are talking about latest cinema. There's a group of people talking about cricket. There's a group of people who are talking about the share market. And there's a group of ladies talking about whose daughter should get married to whom. And everything is happening in the temple. Poor God is standing and watching. Is anybody talking about me or not? And you go and ask them, which society you belong to? Oh, God is there. Let him be there wherever he is. We'll talk our own things. So this is what is happening in the Astik Samaj. So-called theistic people, nobody talks about God. Though they say God exists, what is the use of just believing God? What is the use of you even accepting that God exists if you have not done anything? If you don't speak about Him, if you don't talk about Him. So, this atheism, the concept of atheism is not a new thing. It is there right from the dawn of creation. Ravana was atheist, Hiranyakashipu was atheist. Actually, these days atheists, they are not as powerful as the atheists of the past. Ravana was a big atheistic person. Vibhishana told, wife told, Mandodari came and told Ravana, the person is standing in front of his God. Give back his wife. He says, no. He is just a Nara, ordinary human. He is a theist. So atheism is not a new concept. It is right there, right from the dawn of creation. In the time of creation, what happened was, when Lord Brahma was created, along with Lord Brahma, there were two dust particles which fell down from the earlobes of Vishnu. And two demons were created from that. They were known as Madhu and Kaitava. These two demons, as soon as they were born, they appeared, they were created, they wanted to kill Vishnu. They knew they can kill only when there is a fight. So they did tapasya. And the Vishnu appeared in front of them and told, what do you want? Number one, we want to kill you. So you should fight with us. And number two, what was the boon they asked? To kill you, to fight with you, give all the strength to us. Number three, you cannot kill us wherever there is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and falsehood. Because they wanted to make sure that we should not be killed in the fight. And in this world, there is nothing else other than matter. That is why wherever these 8 elements are there, you cannot kill. That means you cannot kill us. Vishnu told Tathastu. Now just see, the first incident which happened in the dawn of creation is the basis of modern science. Number one of the scientists said that the very existence of science is to disprove the existence of God. Is to show that God is not, that is, you want to kill God. And what do the scientists use? They use the intelligence given by God to prove that it doesn't exist. Number two. Number three, what is their postulate? That is, there is nothing else other than matter in this world. There is nothing called antimatter or there is nothing called spiritual. They don't accept. So what was there by these two demons? The demonic mentality is flowing through the society in the form of science. It's a fact. Because the concept of science is that don't accept God and all. So this is what it is. So in this way, atheism went on and on and on. And these days, the atheism has taken a different form, different support. What is that? The support of science. So let us see, use the same science and understand that how God exists. Now, it was a few years back, a couple of 100 years back. Everybody were very pious Christians. They used to go to church and accept the existence of God. They used to believe. They used to read Bible. And they would say Jesus. They would take the name of Jesus, Yehovah, like that. But at that time, what happened was, there was one incident which happened, which is actually the beginning of classical mechanics. His name was Newton, you know very well. He was sitting under one tree. He's bunking the class and sitting under one tree, and an apple fell down. And he started inquiring why the apple fell down, why it did not go up. Then he started thinking about it, and he came out with the theory, the laws of motion. In this way, the classical mechanics started. Gradually the science developed. On the other hand, when people used to go to the churches and used to ask the priest there, the father there, some questions about what is this, earth is flat or earth is round in shape, why the seasons are changing, and what are these stars, what is this creation, how the creation happened, they were not getting any logical answer. They were not, the answers given there by the clergy were not satisfying to the rational. They said, Monday this happened, Tuesday this happened, Thursday this happened. Think, what is this? On the other hand, when these people went and asked the scientists some questions about the natural phenomena which are happening in this world, the science was giving a very wonderful answer, befitting answers, which were very logical and very rational. And not only that, the science started giving so many comforts which the religion was not giving. The religion was giving austerity and actually some trouble to the body. At the same time, religion was not giving proper answers to the questions. And here, the science was giving proper answers to questions, and comforts were also given. So what happened? There was a gradual shift of faith from religion to science. There was a shift of faith from religion to science. Not only that, not only there was a shift of faith, people start considering, if you are intelligent, you believe in science. If you are a sentimental fool, go to religion. Religion is meant for sentimentalists. Intelligent people, you should accept science. It is all because there was no rational answers given from the religion to the questions asked by people. But they were not knowing, on the eastern side of the world, in this land, there are Vedic literatures which answered every natural phenomena more scientifically than the modern science. They were not knowing that. Even when people came to know about it, they tried to cover it up. So we'll use the same science and try to prove the existence of God. Number one, in this world we find everything is organized. Everything is perfectly organized. You see, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And you find the ocean waters come up to a certain extent and go back. Everything is perfectly organized. That means there is an organizer behind it. You come into the hall, you find the chairs are kept properly, the mic is kept, everything is kept. Do you think that these things happen by chance? No, they don't happen by chance. Somebody has come and organized it and then went away. So an organization, an organized thing implies there is an organizer behind it. Okay. Second point about design. In this world you find a perfect design. Those of you who have studied science, you must be knowing something, there is a phenomenon called the enormous expansion of water. Water is having a unique property. The liquid form of water is heavier than the solid form of water. that is ice. In any other substance, the solid form of the substance is heavier than the liquid form of the substance. But it's only water. Water at 4 degrees has the highest density. So what happens? At 40 degrees centigrade, the water goes down. And on top, what happens? Ice is formed. And other phenomena, other quality of the ice is, it is a poor conductor of heat. Where the solids of any other metal or any other element is a good conductor of heat. So ice becomes a poor conductor of heat. So what happens? It doesn't allow the freezing temperatures to go down into the ocean and convert the ocean water into ice, so that the fishes can survive. Just imagine if the ice is heavier than water and the atmosphere goes below freezing temperature, what will happen? The entire ocean would become ice and the fishes would die. Just see. Don't you think it is a design? Perfect design. When you go and then show a painting of a rose to someone, it's a beautiful painting. Someone will say, oh, what a beautiful painting, who made it? And now you take a plastic rose. These days, plastic flowers are sold and they look so natural sometimes. Many times they look very natural. So you give it, what a beautiful flower. Who made it? It's plastic, but it looks so natural. Who made it? Where did you get it from? You would ask. Now you give him an original rose flower, a natural rose flower to him. Even by mistake, he will not ask who made it. Even by mistake. Because if you ask who made it, you think of God, isn't it? Just imagine when you say, when a painting requires a painter and you require a plastic rose requires a manufacturer, don't you think the original rose which has even fragrance in it? These two doesn't have any fragrance. There's only just form and shape. The original rose not only has form and shape, it has got fragrance. Don't you think it doesn't require a creator behind it? A designer behind it? Every design implies there's a designer. Every organization implies an organizer. Every design implies there is a designer behind it. Not only that, control mechanism. All the planets are moving. There is no accident. Control mechanism. Where is control? The traffic control mechanism is there. That means there is a control behind it. So this world is very much controlled. The temperatures, everything is so controlled. Just imagine if the earth, some scientists are told, it would have been just even a little bit nearer to the sun, life could not exist. Even the earth would little bit away from the sun, life could not exist. Just imagine this earth is so much suitable for human life. It is perfectly placed. That shows there is a perfect control mechanism. Every control mechanism implies there is a controller behind it. And not only that, you have tremendous energy. We are proud of so many factories, industries. Close all the industries, close all the factories. Just make only one factory, one industry. Let everyone work for that. And let us produce one sun. Forget about all the automobiles and all. One sun you produce. Impossible. It is not possible. Tremendous energy. Where is this coming from? Years and years it is burning, but still the energy is coming out. That shows that there is somebody behind it. Some organization, some thing behind it. Not only that, creation. In this world, everything is created. The world itself is created. What to speak of any other thing? Even a chapati requires a creator, isn't it? Nothing comes out by chance. The modern scientists, they say, oh, this world was created by chance. And they explain a phenomena called Big Bang Theory. They postulated a Big Bang Theory, which is not having any proof till now. It is being still taught as science, Big Bang Theory. They say that the whole world was created by a big blast. And they give a nice story for that. They say millions and trillions and billions and trillions of years back. Till now I don't know. So when they don't know, they use these words. You will find in the textbooks in different places. So what happened? There was a situation called singularity. Singularity, that is called black hole. And why it is called black hole? Because it cannot be seen. It cannot be seen. Why it cannot be seen? Because it absorbs all the radiations. Why it absorbs all the radiations? Because it is having infinite temperature, zero volume, infinite mass, infinite density, which is mathematically impossible. Just imagine, zero volume, infinite mass. How it is possible? But still they say the real universe came from this mathematically impossible situation, and they want to derive so many mathematical equations for that. It's foolishness. And then what happened? This black hole, it had a big bang, means it bursted. Then whatever was condensed in it, they all the particles started moving away from each other. And then they use some terms which is very difficult to understand, at exponentially increasing velocities. They use this word, exponentially increasing velocities. And all of a sudden, so happened, there's a huge gas, mass of gas started burning. And a piece of that gas flew away from it and then started rotating and revolving around its orbit. That became Earth, this became Sun. And what happened? This gas gradually became cool and became water. After some time, somehow some water thought, why only water? 3/4 water, 1/4 land. It came out. Then what happened is, there are a few chemicals which are floating under the crust of the ocean after many millions of years. And these chemicals, somehow, they had a meeting one day. And these chemicals got together and became a unicellular organism. Life symptoms came. And the unicellular organism started thinking, how long I should be only one cell? I can be many cells, multicellular. I'll become binary fission and all these things. They use these words, and this way it became fishes. And few fishes came on the surface of the water, and they saw, oh, this is a nice land, let me go and see. So they tried to go to the land and come back, they become turtles. And few turtles stayed back. And they thought, we have small legs, we want to move faster. Then they developed bigger legs, they became animals. And some animals climbed into trees. And then they thought, the sky, let us try to fly around. And trying to fly around, they developed wings. And now, few animals who are walking on the 4 legs, they thought, why 4 legs? 2 are enough. Let us try to stand on 2 legs, and other 2 can be used for something else. They became monkeys. Their tail. And these monkeys started standing more erect, they became chimpanzees. And gradually, the tail was lost. And this tail has become a vestigial organ, because it was not used. Monkeys were using, chimpanzees was not using, and the chimpanzees became standing more and more erect, and now these chimpanzees became humans, the Homo sapiens. We are just waiting what is next. Just imagine, when Hanuman jumped to Lanka, they say it is a fairy tale. Just imagine, don't you think this story is more fairy tale than Hanuman jumping to Lanka? And that is being taught these days as science. So they say the whole creation came by a big bang. Just you ask your builder or the society or the buildings which you are going to purchase, the flat you are going to purchase or building, and you ask him, you ask the builder, how did you build the building? How did it come up? Then you go and ask. He says, I was just traveling on a helicopter one day, I saw a big mountain or a hill there, and I dropped a bomb. It was a big blast and the buildings came up. No construction happens by blast, only destruction happens. And just imagine, the simple, foolish, even a fool can say this thing, no construction happens by blast. They say the whole world was created by a blast. How can it be possible? It is not possible. The world no creation happens by a blast. So even Newton, he was a very good Christian. He had a lot of faith in God. But his friend was atheistic, but still Newton wanted his friend to take up God consciousness. He wanted to make him accept the existence of God. He was also a scientist. So one day Newton called his friend to his laboratory. Then he went to the laboratory on his friend and he saw there was a wheel. He started turning that wheel, the Newton. Then his friend could see a very surprising thing. What was there? There was a nice, wonderful arrangement of the planetary system. The sun was in the middle, there were orbits, there are different planets, they are revolving and rotating around the sun. It was so wonderful. Just by turning the wheel, the whole thing was moving. And this friend of Newton, he told Newton, "Hey, what a wonderful thing you have done. Who made it? How did you get it made?" Newton told, "I was working in the laboratory late night one day and I fell sleepy and then went to bed. All of a sudden I had a big blast. Next day morning came and saw it was there like that." I told, "Don't joke. How can it come by a blast? Tell me, somehow you got it made. Who made it? How did you get it made? Such a wonderful arrangement." Then Newton told my friend, "You are not willing to accept that even the model, the prototype model of the universe, it can come by blast. When you are not able to accept this model can come by a blast, do you think the original thing can come by a blast?" In this way his friend had to succumb. And he accepted the existence of God. Now many people ask, okay, God is there, we accept it, but we cannot see Him. Why? For that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvedam protam sutre manigananiva." He says, "Sutre manigananiva." My dear Arjuna, the entire world is based on me. Like the pearls are based on the thread of the pearl necklace. In a pearl necklace, nice beautiful pearl necklace, the very nice arrangement of the pearls itself is a proof that there is a thread underlying it. But interesting point is that you can see the pearls arrangement but not the thread. The very proof of the existence of the thread is the pearls. The unseen thread can be seen by the seen pearls. The proof of the unseen thread is by the seen pearls. The very universe, what you are seeing, that itself is a proof of existence of God. And why we are not accepting His existence? Because we are going far away from nature. We are going far away from nature. We enter into flats, the air conditioning is there, and you come out and you get into the air conditioned car and go to the office, it's all air conditioned, and you have work overnight, it's all artificial lights. And because of so much being away from nature, you don't even accept the existence of God. So, this is how you can see God. The seen universe is a proof of the unseen God. Unseen God can be seen by the seen universe. Okay, you say, I accept God is there, well and good. But now comes the point. If God is there, He should be only one. Why there are different religions? It's a very important point. There are different religions not because they are different gods. God is one. There are different religions because of different kinds of audience. And if you see, in all the religions, the fundamental principles are the same. The fundamental principles of all the religions are the same. All the religions say you should take the name of God. You see, the Japamala we have is having 108 beats. The rosaries of the Christians also 108, the Muslims also 108. And all of them agree we should chant the name of God. They all say there is only one God. They all say we should control our senses. They all say we should approach a spiritual master. Fundamental principles are the same. But in details they are different because they are addressed to different kinds of audience at different places. If you go and tell a person in Saudi Arabia, that every day you should get up early in the morning, take bath, and then go to the Lord, and then you should offer bananas, and you should offer coconut. Just imagine. It is not possible. So, place, time, and the people who are living. People who are living, they are not all the same level of consciousness. That is why it needs to be addressed, different audience need to be addressed in different ways, giving the same principles. That is why we have different religions. Let us take these three major religions of the world. Theistic religions, that is those who accept the existence of God. One is Sanatana Dharma, other is Islam and Christianity. Sanatana Dharma. I am not using specifically the word Hindu because Hindu word is not found in any of the Vedas. It is not actually Hinduism, it is actually Sanatana Dharma. Hinduism is actually a word used by the Persians. When the Persians, they invaded India. They invaded India because they heard from the saints used to come from Persia. They used to say to them that we are going to the eastern side of the land to get knowledge. And those who are in Persia and different in Arabian countries and all, they thought, what is this eastern side? What is there? Let us go and see. So they came and saw, they found in this land, there's so much of vegetation, so many wonderful things, so much of knowledge. People were so cultured, and so much of valuable jewels, gold, minerals are all there. They thought, let us come and loot the country. So they came, actually robbers came, and they were staying on the western bank of the Sindhu river. And the Sindhu river, on the eastern bank of the Sindhu river, who were there, these people started addressing them as what? As Hindu. Like, I don't know how many of you really know, in the Bengali language, there is no pronunciation of the word we. If you ask them to say we, Vishwanath, they would say Vishwanath. They would say Vivekananda, not Vivekananda. So in the same way, Persian language doesn't have the pronunciation of the word sa. Wherever sa comes, they would say ha. So when they would pronounce the word Sindhu, they would say what? So this word Hindu came from the mispronunciation of the Persians, the Pathans. So Hindu is not a term at all. So it's Sanatana Dharma. And you have Islam, you have Christianity. Now Jesus told, I came to deliver the people of Israel. And basically he was dealing with the shepherds. And there on the other side, Sanatana Dharma, he was addressing whom? Srimad Bhagavatam. The sages of Naimisharanya asked few questions to Sutta Goswami. One of the first question was, what? How can the whole world be satisfied? Everybody in this world, how can they become happy? That was the level of thinking of the people. Just imagine, for such people, what kind of knowledge we need to give. On the other hand, who was Jesus preaching to? People who betrayed him. They were not even accepting the presence of a great Acharya like Jesus. When Muhammad told, don't gamble, people started throwing stones at them. He told, in Quran you'll find a teaching, don't associate with your own daughter or your own sister or your mother. That means what? At that time people are so animalistic. That is why some moral values were given more. Spiritual values were given very less. Because until unless one comes to the human life, then only human platform, then only spiritual knowledge can be given. So Bible and Quran, they are actually Veda, but meant for a particular time, place and circumstance for a particular kind of people. It is like a pocket dictionary, Oxford dictionary. It doesn't contain everything. Whatever is required for a particular standards of classes, that is mentioned in that. So gradually they elevate. That is why actually there is no difference. And all the religions, they talk about one God. There are no 2, 3 gods. So that is why, depending on the audience, there are different religions. But ultimately, Sanatana Dharma is the topmost. Topmost in what sense? In the sense, it is accommodating everybody, and it is the highest form of religious principles. Because it is addressed to whom? It is addressed to those who are highly self-controlled. In this way, it becomes a complete dictionary where every aspect of the absolute truth is completely discussed. That is the speciality of the Sanatana Dharma. And now, going further, you may say, oh Prabhuji, you are talking about God. Yes, God is there. I accept one God. That is also there. I accept, though there are many religions, there is only one God. That also I accept. But why are you troubling me? Talking so much about God. Let Him be there wherever He is. Let me lead my life peacefully. What I got to do with Him? I am doing my job, I am getting my money, I am taking care of my family. Okay, sometimes happiness, sometimes misery. It's going on, life is going on. Why are you banging my head with this God? Okay, He's there, let Him be there. What I got to do with Him? So this is the most important thing. The entire 7 days, what we will discuss now is the most important. What I got to do with God? Why I have to accept Him in my life? Some people say, oh God, if you don't accept Him, if you don't worship Him, He'll do something bad to you. That is where you should go. It is a concept of fear. Some people accept God out of fear. That is, people say, hey, I am a God-fearing man. Who is a police-fearing man, tell me? Only a thief. Why be afraid of God? Isn't it? So there are some people who accept God out of fear. Out of fear. But that is not the purpose for accepting God. You don't have to accept God just because He's great. So what? So many great people are there. Let them live their life, we lead our life. God is also a great person, let Him lead His life. What do I got to do with Him? So just because He is great, you need not accept Him. Some people say, oh God, give my daily bread. As if he's got a big bakery on top and he's dropping bread. If you're a South Indian, you say, oh God, give me daily idlis. I studied in a Christian school, they say, pray, oh God, give me daily bread. I used to think, especially in South India when we were small kids, at that time, the situation, the thing was, only when you are sick you eat bread. Not that daily. Now these days children get only bread there. Mothers don't want to cook parathas or idlis or something like that. They want to become lazy. So I put a toast and put some butter and give. Let you go to the school. So actually that was the concept. And that means if you are sick, they bring bread. I used to always wonder on the prayers to go on, why we should ask for bread? Are we sick or what? So this is expectation. The first kind of consciousness where people accept God is that of fear. You do not accept God because of this. Now the second level is what? Expectation. Out of expectation, oh God, give me this, give me that. Just imagine. If you go to God because of expectation, you will be at a loss. If you go to God and ask, I want this, you will be at a loss. I'll tell you a small story for that. One person, he did a lot of prayers in tapasya, God appeared in front of him. He asked, what you want? So he was asking, these are things. God told, just give me a list and I may forget. You write and give. So he took a paper and pen and started writing. And he gave the paper to God and he saw there were 108 items he wanted. And God told, over, any more you want? God, one more time, just give me one chance, I want to add more. So he added more, he looked at God, more, he started adding more. In this way, he made a list and gave back to God. He saw it, there was 1008 items. God asked, anything else you want? I don't want anything else. Whatever is in the list, if you can give, I'll be most happiest person. Please give me whatever I've asked for, I don't want anything else. In the list he had asked for cars and He had a private airplane, he wanted 2 bungalows, that is, what all he could think of, he could write and make a list of 1008. The God told, okay, Tadastu, whatever you are given the list, that is what you will get. As soon as God told Tadastu, he died. Because he wrote so many things, he forgot to write air, oxygen. So it is very dangerous to go and ask God. Just imagine if He gives whatever you ask and takes away whatever He has given you. Very difficult. Do we ever think that God has given me a kidney? He has given, isn't it? Forget about it. We don't bother. It is just there, natural. Naturally it is there, no? But you go and ask a person who doesn't have it, suffering with dialysis. You'll understand what is the importance of it. So be happy with what you have already got. Instead of suffering, thinking of what you don't have. So it's a bad bargain to go and ask God. So people accept God without expectation. So going and asking God is not only a bad bargain, it is foolishness also. So out of expectation some people go. And some people say it's my duty. Out of duty. Morning, some incense agarbatti, evening agarbatti. My duty is over. Once in a while on Sunday go to temple and drink one nariyal. Put some 10 rupees and come back. I done my duty. So one need not accept God just out of fear, not expectation, nor duty. There is only one thing. We need to accept God in our life. That one thing is so important that only God can give, number one, that thing. Number two, and that is the only thing which we are all longing for. That is the only thing which we are all searching for. Right from birth. And when we lose our hope of getting that one thing in our life, we feel like, what is the use of my life? What is that one thing which we are all searching for? Yes. Put a rasgulla in the mouth, you'll be happy. Why God for that, isn't it? Why call God for your happiness? There's one thing. To such an extent, if a young boy, he feels that I have lost it in my life, he commits suicide. That one thing is such a wonderful thing that need not be taught to a person. As soon as a baby is born, he is born with that thing, searching for that thing. Love. That is one thing. That is the only thing which continues our life. That is why parents say to the children, "Oh beta, tumhare liye ji rahe." Because we have an expectation that there is somebody in my life whom I love, or somebody who loves me, that is why we are living. When that hope is lost, that is why 80% of the suicide cases are what? A boy fell in love with the girl and she got married to somebody. He feels, I lost the love of my life, what is the use of my life? So this love is the only thing which we are all looking for. And the most interesting part is, it is only God who can fill our hearts which is longing for love. Nobody in this world can fulfill our expectations of love. If you are expecting love for someone and that person is not able to fulfill your expectation of love, don't blame him or her. Because it is your mistake that you expected that love from that person. It is only God who can fill your hearts with love. And that is the only reason for which we have to accept God in our life. Not out of fear, not out of expectation, not out of duty. It is only to get this one thing, love, which we are all searching for. Right from childhood we are searching. As soon as the baby is born, what does the baby do? He loves the mother so much. So much, even the father comes nearby and he says, oh, where is this villain came from? And as the baby grows, they are thinking, mother is there whole day in the house. This father, he goes out in the morning, comes back and gives me so many gifts. Mother is shouting at me, keep quiet, sit down, shut up. The father doesn't do all these things to me. And one day, as the baby grows up, he starts walking and all. He finds, one day the calling bell rings and the door opens and he finds, oh, my son has opened the door. He embraces the son. He thought, oh, beta, my dear son, today you proved that you are my son. All this days you are mama's son. Mother is thinking, what happened? He was crying. Even to go near him, he was afraid. Now he is just thinking only about him, father. He loves the father so much. And as the time goes by, 5, 6 years old, the father's son is like really happy and both are enjoying the scooter ride or sometimes the car ride and the stories. And one day, father comes home, he presses the calling bell, the door opens. Mother opens the door and she says, Mera beta kahan hai? Where is my son? And she says, I'll show your son. So she takes the father and then shows the window. You see down, he is playing cricket there along with his friends. Then the father says, Beta, मैं आ गया हूँ, तुम्हारे लिए क्या लाया हूँ देखो, I've come, see what I got for you. Son says, keep it with you, I'll come later, I'll finish my batting, I'll go film. He's shocked for the father, what happened? The wife says, this happened to me also. Then he comes home and now he's only talking about friends only. He comes home, he calls his friends. And all of a sudden he develops love for the father and mother when he wants some pocket money. And what to do? As he grows, now 13, 14, 15 years, he doesn't come home only. He stays whole night with his friends. And when he comes home and mother cooks nice, wonderful chapati, sabji, rice, dal and wonderful sweets and all she offers, he says, what is this? You are cooked. And what does he like? I don't know how much these kind of things are there in Sri Lanka. But in India you have roadside restaurants, especially the Chinese corners, a red colored tin they keep. And behind that there is one person who has got long oily hairs, not even washed for, not taken bath for many days. He's wearing a jeans which is torn up and not washed for a year or so. And he's cooking something. And this boy likes that. And mother is cooking so nicely, doesn't like it. At that time he forgets there was a time he used to cry when the mother would not feed him. As soon as the mother would feed him, he would just jump high and he used to move his legs up and down and just smile like anything. Where has that love gone? Now as he grows up, he gets married, then he says to the parents, my wife doesn't like you both. You stay separate, we'll stay separate. And now he loves the wife so much and they have children. And what all he did to his parents, the same thing was done by his son to him also. By the time his wife also died and he was alone and his son is in America somewhere in the West. He's alone. Everything is there in his house. And he's alone. That is the only thing. Because he's alone, he just goes for evening walk, eating some few biscuits. On the way, he finds that the dog, he throws some biscuits at the dog. The dog eats the biscuits. And then he comes home. Whatever biscuits were left, he gave the dog because the dog followed him. And he's about to sleep, but he doesn't get sleep. Somehow he just opened the door and came out and saw the dog is still there. Waving its tail, looking at him with great love. with open mouth, tongue out. And he looks at the dog and starts thinking, what did I do to this dog? Just few biscuits. But he doesn't want to leave me. Just imagine how much of love this dog has got for me. And what all I did not do to my son. He doesn't even call me once to inquire whether I am dead or alive. If at all there is anybody in this world who loves me, it is this dog. He lets the dog inside. No wonder people are taking care of dogs. Go for a dog in the evening walk. Now he landed up in loving a dog. Why? One thing is for sure, throughout his life he only loved. But what happened? The object of love got changed. Why? Because nobody could fill his heart which is longing for love. There is only one person who can do it. That is God. And that is the reason we have to accept God in our life. There is only one person who can fill our hearts. That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma. Dharma means what? Dharma means the nature which cannot be given up by that object. The dharma of water is to flow. Fluidity is the dharma or the nature of water. You cannot separate fluidity from water. The dharma of fire is to burn and give heat. You cannot separate the heat and light from the fire. It is the integral aspect. The intrinsic nature of fire is to give heat and light. In the same way, the intrinsic nature, the dharma of the soul is to love. And what is Sanatana Dharma? The eternal loving principle, that is to love God. That is the eternal nature of the soul, to love God. We have forgotten that. That is why we are trying to love somebody else in this world. And after some time we find, oh, I did a mistake. What was the mistake? You thought the other person whom you love is God. And after some time you find that you did a mistake and you change the object of love and then, oh, this person is God, now we'll be happy. And after some time you find I did a mistake. That is why it is fine. When a young boy and a young girl falls in love with each other, what they say, oh, I love you, I cannot live without you. And somehow they run away from the house and do something and get married. After a few months, if they are really lucky, few months. Otherwise, it happens in just few days only. I cannot live with you. Then what happened? Just few days back you told me I cannot live without you. I cannot live with you. Oh, so much for their love. Why? It's a real story I'm telling. There was in Canada, ISKCON has a huge temple. It is actually originally it was a church. Prabhupada purchased it, and a temple. And nearby there is a huge church, big church, biggest church in Canada. Once the father, he came to the temple president of Canada, ISKCON, and he asked that, I find that in your temple many young people are coming and it is like vibrant. In Sunday, so many people are coming, it is so wonderful. I am in our church, why people are not coming? Then the temple president asked, based on what you are taking lecture? I am talking about the very intricate philosophical things in the Bible. And next time, you advertise this topic and tell everyone that you are going to speak on this topic. And this topic is like this. Listen carefully, very interesting topic. What if you have chosen a wrong life partner? What if you have chosen a wrong life partner? This will be topic. And the father, he advertised everywhere. He was surprised to see the whole church was full, 1,000 people were there. And he started his sermon. Some strange thing happened. Somebody from this corner started looking there, somebody from this corner looking there. There'll be chaos. Actually, what happened was both husband and wife had come without telling each other. So much for our love. That shows Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma means the nature of the soul is to love. And Sanatana means eternal. Who is the eternal object of our love? Is God. And forgetting the eternal object of love, God, we accept some temporary object of love and get frustrated. Now love, when I say, it is accompanied by service. Love and service go together. It is not that I love you and I don't want to serve you. It is like one small boy. He comes and asks mother, "Oh mother, mummy, bhook lagi hai, I am very hungry." Mother says, "Beta, I love you." He says, "I am hungry." And she says, "I love you." No? He is going to eat your love or what? If you really love, what are you supposed to do? Go and cook and feed. So, love and service cannot be separated from each other. So, what is Sanatan Dharma? Sanatan Dharma is the eternal loving principle which we have for God. Love is accompanied by service. So, Dharma of the soul is to love and serve God. And that is the reason we have to accept God in our life, to love and serve Him. When you love and serve God, that is the perfection of life. That is the reason we have to accept God in our life. Now we have discussed about Sanatan Dharma, that is to love and serve God, that is the object of life, that is the goal of life. So I need to love God. Not only I accept the existence of God, not only I accept that God is one, not only I accept that God is one, I need to accept God in my life, as my life and soul. So if I have to love God, I should know Him at least. So who is this God? That's the topic for today. Who is God? But before we talk about who is God, we'll talk about the definition of God. First, by definition, God is being defined as Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes, the original cause of all causes. If I ask you, where did you come from? You say, Father. Where did your father come from? From his father. Where did his father come from? His father. In this way, there is a Father from whom all the fathers come from. There is a Father from whom all the fathers, that Father is God, the source of everything. God is defined as the source of everything. Like some people, they argue, no, there is no source, absolute source. It goes on and on. There is no end to it. It doesn't happen so. Like there is one Nobel Prize winner. He wrote a book about where did life come from. And he wrote a huge book, a thesis, and for which he was given the Nobel Prize. And the conclusion was, the life came to this planet from another planet. That was the conclusion. He was given a Nobel Prize. Now, somebody may ask a question to him. Okay, life came to this planet from another planet. Now my question is, where did life come from to that planet? Write another book. And life came to that planet from another planet. It goes on. It's like trying to find a dog trying to find its own tail, isn't it? No, it just cannot go on ad infinitum. It is foolishness. There is a point from where everything starts. That is God. Sometimes when people used to ask Srila Prabhupada, what is the definition of God? Srila Prabhupada, the founder of this movement, ISKCON, he used to quote this Vedic mantra. Yato yaimani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat pralyanta visham vishanti tat brahma. Yato yaimani bhutani jayante, from whom everything comes from. Jayante means comes from. Yato ya imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti, after being born, after being created, by whom everything is sustained. And yet praliyanta visham vishanti, when everything gets destroyed, into whom everything is enters into. He is Tad Brahma. He is defined as God. One who is the cause of everything, the cause of all causes. This is actually the preliminary definition of God. When we hear about God, generally three concepts come into our picture, our mind. One is general thing, that God is everywhere. We all have this idea, God is everywhere. It is true, God is everywhere. Other concept is what? God is in everybody, everybody's heart. You see God in everybody's heart. It's also true. And some people say, God is there up. In Hindi they say upar wala. As if it's not baju wala, niche wala. Upar wala. Means God is there in the spiritual world. Yes, He is there in the spiritual world too. Now there is a confusion. If He is there in the spiritual world, how is He everywhere? If God is there everywhere, and how can you say that He is only in everybody's heart? Now we will try to understand how God is at one place in the spiritual world, at the same time He is everywhere, and at the same time He is everybody's heart. How? For that we will have an example. The example is that of a sun. The sun is at one place, but the sun is making its presence felt everywhere in the form of sunshine. The fire is at one place, but the fire's presence is felt everywhere in the form of heat and light. In the same way, God is at one place, but through His energies, He is pervading everywhere, and He is making His presence felt everywhere in the form of His energies. That is why God is at one place at the same time everywhere. As much as the sun is at one place, and sun is everywhere in the form of sunshine. So if somebody says God is everywhere, there is nothing wrong. When somebody says God is in everybody's heart, there is nothing wrong. When somebody says God is at one place, the spiritual, there is nothing wrong. But at the same time, you should understand. The highest understanding of God is to understand God is at one place in the spiritual world. That is the highest understanding of God. How? Sunshine is emitting from the sun. So, sun is at one place. That is why these three understandings about God is known as Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Bhagavan is at one place, but the same Bhagavan is spread everywhere in the form of Brahman, like the light is spread from the fire. The sun is spreading its sunshine. The sunshine can be compared to Brahman, the energy aspect of the Lord, the all-pervading feature of the Lord. The localized aspect of Bhagavan is Paramatma. It can be compared to the reflection of sun in hundreds and thousands of water pots which is kept under the sun. You keep water pots, keep 100 water pots, you'll find there is a reflection of sun in every water pot. In the same way, Bhagavan is reflected in everybody's heart as Paramatma. Bhagavan is present everywhere in the form of sunshine as Brahman. That is why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Brahmanoi pratishtam amritasya cha vyasya cha shashtasya dharmasya sudasya kantikasya cha. I am the source of Brahman. He says, I am the source of Paramatma. Sarvasya cha aham hridisannivishtaha. And there is everybody's heart as Paramatma. Paramatmit chapyukto dehasmin purushaparaha. That is why anybody who just understands the concept which is being spoken here will have no problem in understanding God. All the concepts of God will be very clear when you understand Bhagavan in the spiritual world, and He is present everywhere in the form of Brahman, and as He is there in everybody's heart as Paramatma, as much as the sun is spreading everywhere in the form of sunshine, He is present in every part as its reflection. The basis of sunshine and the reflection is the sun. That is why among these three features, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, Bhagavan is the highest understanding of God. Now here, there is another thing which comes to the mind of the people. Does God has form or no form? Yes, God has form, at the same time has no form. Both are true. How? For that, you should know, sun has form or not? Yes, sun has a form. But does the sunshine have form? No. So, the energy of God doesn't have form. God himself has a beautiful form. The Bhagavan feature has a form. But the Brahman feature doesn't have a form. That is why Bhagavan is known as energetic. Some people say, oh, some God is there is some energy. But how can there be energy without energy? Brahman is energy and Bhagavan is energetic. So the Lord is all pervading, Bhagavan is all pervading in the form of his energy. So the all pervading feature, the absolute truth, that is Bhagavan, Brahman, has no form. Whereas Bhagavan himself has a beautiful form. How can you say Bhagavan has form? Just imagine. I can give you something what I have. God created this world. In the world we have the bodies, everything. These are forms are there. So if God created form, do you think he doesn't have form? He can only create something what he has. That is why God has form. At the same time, his energies don't have form. The highest understanding of Bhagavan, of God, is to understand who is Bhagavan. What is the definition of Bhagavan? So till now we discussed about the definition, the preliminary definition of God. That is the source of everything. And we understood that how the three features of God, that is Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. And the most important feature is Bhagavan feature, who is there in the spiritual world and who has a beautiful form. And the question I just is, who is that Bhagavan? That we will discuss tomorrow. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this spiritual enlightenment regarding God, who is God. I am having a question that what is the most accurate and appropriate ways to serve God? As you told, we should serve and love God.
Okay.
What are the ways in which we can serve?
I think Sri Lanka, everybody is self-reliant soul. They'll directly come to the point. We spoke about our relationship with God is that of love, isn't it? When you love somebody in this world, what you do? You love your child, what you do? You always talk about him, isn't it? And you always think about him. And you always think about how he can be happy, isn't it? So to make him happy, whatever is required, you do that. The small baby, what you do? You bring some toys and do all kinds of things. Little bit grown up, depending on the mood of the baby or the boy or the child or the girl child or the boy child, you act accordingly, isn't it? In the same way, a devotee does every activity for the pleasure of God. And the fundamental activity is to always talk about him and always think about him. Isn't it? So we'll be discussing elaborately about it on the last day, the practical application of Bhagavad Gita, which is Saturday. But for now, since you asked the question, how to love God is very simple. Is to always talk about him, always hear about him, always think about him. And that doesn't happen very naturally because we have a long time forgotten him. We should practice it. And we'll be giving you some practical tips of how to do it exactly. Because until unless it is defined 1, 2, 3, it is very difficult for us to follow. That we'll be discussing on the last day, that is on Saturday. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
You mentioned that soul is in everyone, so all of us have a soul. And you mentioned also today that God is in everyone.
Yes.
Right. So, how do you differentiate this?
Yes.
That's one question. The second question is, if God is in everyone, then why do people go and do what we call as bad things?
Okay. Nice questions. In the Upanishads, there is a description about a tree. In the tree there are two birds. One bird is eating two kinds of fruits, sweet and sour. And the other bird is looking at this bird. Now this example is given to show that this tree is our body. The soul is the bird which is eating two kinds of fruit, happiness and distress. And there is another bird which is looking at this bird. And why is looking at the bird? Waiting when this bird is going to give up eating these two kinds of fruit and turn its face towards him. So, in our body there is soul and there is super soul. Both are there. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he talks about the soul is I, the soul. But the super soul is there just to upadrashta, oversee, anumanta, permit, upadrashta, anumanta, cha bharta, to support, bhokta, as an enjoyer, upadrashta, anumanta, cha bharta, bhokta, cha maheshwara, is supreme controller. Paramatma is chapyukto, they has been purushaparaha. These are the activities of the super soul. And your question, second question is that if God is there in everybody's heart as super soul, why people do bad things? For that you should understand what is the duty of the super soul. As we discussed in this verse, the duty of the super soul is upadrashta anumanta, permitter. He only permits. As super soul, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, he never interferes into the independence of the soul. He never interferes in the independence of the soul. What to speak of this? Even when Krishna appeared in front of Arjuna and gave the instructions to him in Bhagavad Gita, he gave the entire instructions. He spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita, and ultimately Krishna told to Arjuna, Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Whatever you want to do, you do. Whatever I have to tell, I told you, you do whatever you want. If you follow my instructions, then your life will be better. If you don't follow, then you suffer. And then he told, Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. And Arjuna was intelligent, and then he told that, Karishye vachanam tava, I will do whatever you have told. Now you may ask, why God has given this independence? For that, today we discussed the subject. Our relationship with God is what? That of love. Without freedom, there cannot be any love. Suppose there is a girl, you tell her, you have to marry this boy. There is no question of any love. It is forced. Out of 4 or 5, she out of her own free will chooses one. That means independence is given, then there is question of love. There cannot be any love at gunpoint. Forced. There is no question of any love when there is force. So there is option and there is. So Krishna as super soul, he gives that freedom. He gives that freedom. You may say, if he has given the freedom, how does he control? He controls based on the result. To give you a more practical understanding of it, I don't know whether this thing happens in Colombo or not. It happens in Bombay. When you are driving a car, you find that red light is a traffic signal. Practically you find no traffic is there. You break the signal and then go ahead. You will find the police wala comes. He will be hiding somewhere. Okay. Then he says, you have to pay this fine of 1,000 rupees. Then he says, oh, why you did not stop me? This person says, do you think the police wala will come and then try to stop you? No, he will not do that. He will be hiding. And he has already instructions are there that you should not break these rules. But control is through the effect of breaking the rules, not while breaking the rules. Is option given always. Krishna doesn't force us to do this or force us not to do this. So he has given the freedom, at the same time he maintains the control by giving good results of following the rules or giving the punishment of breaking the rules. That is how the government functions. That is how Krishna also functions. Yes.
Can we approach the God directly, or we need a guide to approach the God?
Definitely I think you can approach, because your questions are really right from day one you ask how to become a devotee of Krishna, like that. So it is a system. Even to meet some officer, you have to first take it through, you have to go through the secretary, isn't it? You have to give a name to the secretary, I want to meet him. So when ordinary people in this world, they have a secretary through which they meet, they want to speak of Krishna, isn't it? You have to approach through a spiritual master. That is a procedure, that is a system. And that is a system created by Krishna, that through the spiritual master, you approach Krishna. Okay? Yes. Any more questions? No questions. Yesterday I got questions in a piece of paper, but that Mataji is not here today, so I'll try to answer them tomorrow. Okay, let's stop here. No questions.